you get the concept that we all co-creators of this reality. We have expectations of what we are going to see. And the more unified the agreement to see that expectation manifest, the more likely you is to wake up to that new reality. This is why they say we co-creators with the creator. The generating from source material that AI does, it's just printing based on a set of codes. We are using what's called mind power to affect what's called prima matter, which the Egyptians called noon waters, the sacred waters of creation. And as we look into the water, like Narcissus, remember he looked into the water and fell in love with himself. That was all ego. Mm. So you said that thinking like this can damage the ego. That's the goal. Bust the ego so that the inner divinity can shine into the world. So you become your own individual sun. As you walk through the world, let that light in you shine in the world. That's what they're talking about. But you got to get past the ego. The ego is all built by the world around you. It's not the true self. Mm-hmm. Bust the ego upside the head. Right? When you purify the ego in mysticism, you become enlightened by your higher self, assuming the driver's seat of the vehicle of the earth, the body. If the higher self is in control, you got access to higher self information that the lower self don't have access to. They call it psychic capabilities. And these psychic capabilities, when you understand how they work and begin to explain to you how we are co-creating with the creator, the creation that we creating in real time while we creating it. Right? So we are all source when we ain't in the physical body. Mm-hmm. Right? We have egos or character archetypes that's designed to harness the energy in a specific fashion.
Exactly. You know what? I want to speak on that right there, Rod, just right there. Even in a slightly different but the same way to put this, mm-hmm. They always talk about how the reality is all made from the same thing, right? They just call it atoms. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But then you got different stuff in front of you. So you're like, well, if it's all made of the same thing, how do I have these different things, right? Mm-hmm. And when we take that to a spiritual level from a creating, but really a co-creating level, because for sure the word creator is overused, like originating something. Remember, there's only one prima materia. And just like Rod is saying, what ego is good at doing is dividing everything, mm-hmm. right? Some the external ego as an external sun, in a way of generating and separating, and there's always a new one, and you see what I mean? So this is also another way of seeing that, how still though, and this was just an experiment that was done linguistically that I had conducted, is seeing how many letters in the English language are actually the same as another letter in another language, like the B and the V in Spanish versus English.
Talk to me.
And when you start putting the language back together and you run all of these, or what I call the cipher across every language, in the end, it'll tell you that based on this, there is only one word or basically one sound. And you're wondering, well, how could that be? Because we have all these different tones and sounds that we got coming out of our mouths right now.
Right.
What we're missing is that, but we also assigned, and this is something that we're doing, let's say mentally or inside of our consciousness, we've assigned a marker or a tag to every single thing that we're coming in experience with in real time. Mm-hmm. And what Rod is mentioning is that when we tap out of that, then we enter into that space where it's clear to see not only are we the creators of the reality, but we're actually the reality. It's like there is no, you click on the double slot experiment. You now become the observer and the observed. in that way. And that's also what happens with spiritual journeys. That's also what happens when the third eye is open. You take the bufo, you blow way out of the body, you realize, oh man, I'm everything. And, and that all goes on. And then, at a certain point, you slam back down into the body, and that's proof. But we still also have to remember, not to bag on the Christians, but they're still yet to experience something like this. What they think that they will have to wait until the end of life to experience, which is basically, really seeing, there's a spiritual plane is overlaying this one. It's alive more than this one, which makes this one more of an illusion. It's highly energetic. You walk outside, you see the trees moving, you see maybe something else in the Argyle or the spaces in the spaces, basically a whole nother world. But then we come into the Matrix, and they ain't mention nothing about it. They still over here trying to figure out whether God is Santa Claus. You see what I mean? So it's a stark contrast, but it's to see these things like now, and that's why we call it word salad now, right? Because they can get on the Instagram and be like, and we're creators, and we're co-creating together, bringing in our vision and unity, and they go in with the words, right? Because that's only one part of it, though, right? It's got the words got to connect with the heart. And so all of these power languages, right? Because the power language is almost even like a symbolic Reiki. Once you speak the certain tone, it open up certain things in the reality. All depth level stuff, all grandma level. Don't sit on my couch. There's plastic. Don't talk when grown folks ain't talking to you. I'm gonna pop you in the mouth. Kind of deep level of things, right? You just sit and then you watch. And, if you can, and then you learn. So all of that then starts evolving, involving, that's why all of this physical reality stuff starts becoming petty. It starts being about what happens to generations over thousands of years, what happens with the migration of the souls and the merging of certain types of entities, so it's all, let's say, higher level stuff. So on the lower levels, we have, let's say, this language, and they even pointed it out, Arabic and Hebrew, because you got to understand what they do Kabbalistically, right? But they're just like these derivative languages. One is used to handle the government. One is used to handle the lowest layer of the spiritual world. The priestcraft use one language, and then the gubernatorial uses another language, and then tries to manage the people through that language. We grew up in that system. Now, we're coming into that awareness like, there was something that existed even before all of this. And then that's when we start getting into, hey, I'm the creator of my reality. That's something that you don't just say, though. You, of course, step into that. And then you realize, now I know what I'm talking about. And it hit me the other night. It was simply saying this. Did you know how every aspect of what you deal with in the reality is generally momentarily, like stimulus? Like at every moment, you're feeling like, hey, I'm going to go in here and talk to my daughter. Hey, I'm going to go in here and get on the show. Or, hey, even the 7 from 10 minutes ago is basically gone. Like that was momentary. Right. Were we ever going to see that 7 again? You see me? So a lot of this stuff is, when you really just meditate on it, all the same thing. And then that thought sometimes will send you into like this into a frequency where it's just all of a sudden like, you know what I mean? It'd be just like that. That's what we call the codes to the matrix, because you could just be sitting in something and then it'll hit you with like, hey, don't you see it's all impulses? It's all fleeting. So that makes it all the same thing. Nothing. And then from that point, the whole reality be gone and it feels good. You know what I mean? So this is, that constant growth. So yeah.
But even get with this, right. So they became Skywalkers. They come down out of the trees, but they do it on their turn for ritual purposes. As in, they might come down for grounding rituals. I'm about to go get some drink.
Oh yeah, hey, you dropping some juice, because I ain't never heard of the like I heard terms threw around like Skywalker this, Skywalker that, but I ain't never make a connection with there was some of our native tribes who actually went up in trees and started connecting these Skywalkers together and all their huts, and they make a lot of sense. Man, it's a whole bunch of shit just going on through my mind on other shit that I knew that I didn't put together about these people living up in these trees.
And what we have been told or led to believe by mainstream media has been only there to confuse us, mislead us, and turn us on one another. So if we're going to ever get to a point of liberation, of freedom from all of this oppression, one thing we're going to have to do is get past jumping to assault each other openly and in public without cause, and no one's doing that to us. So what happens in the community is people begin to speak on things because it look a certain way. But if you understood the divide and conquer mechanism and how it works, you would know that the whole system is set up to turn us against each other. And when you start to mix the rules of the street with investigative reporting, you can ask the wrong questions that can get somebody severely hurt. And that's what made me bring up James Prince, because there was a situation similar to what young Pharaoh's doing with the nation in Farrakhan. He's not really understanding what he's doing, so I'm going to touch on some of it. But until I talk to certain people, I can't openly disclose a lot of information that I will be able to once I made those ends connect. So where we finna go with this is we're going to start with what happened with the J. Prince scenario. All right. A few months back, James Prince released a tweet when one of his people was robbed in New York. And he told the people in Brooklyn, or he asked them rather, if any of them knew who this was, if this was their people, and to sit down with him or, check on it so that they can get an understanding. And I heard several different YouTube channels ask if James Prince was snitching by putting that tweet out. So everybody in the streets, I'm not talking about music industry types, I'm not talking about businessmen, I'm talking about anyone who is in the streets that deal with day-to-day street life. They will understand that what J. Prince done was necessary. He had to address it publicly because the gentleman that did the robbery put it on social media publicly. If he doesn't say anything publicly about it and give the people who are the OGs in that area the opportunity to clean it up, then James Prince would not be following the rules. So what was James Prince doing? In the tweet, he basically told New York, specifically Brooklyn, where the guys that was from, that committed the act, and posted it on social media. Now, nobody had never heard of James Prince going out public and openly addressing the issues that he was dealing with in the streets. He never talked street business publicly. So why would he come out after never revealing this self publicly and all of a sudden release a tweet addressing openly street matters publicly? The reason for that is this. James Prince know the rules of the street. All right? So he know that as soon as they made that public, he obligated now to address it publicly. And y'all got to pay attention because this is how the reporters can get somebody hurt. Now, the reporter's presumption was that he might be snitching by putting out that tweet, which is nothing further from the truth. You can't snitch on somebody that told on themselves, first of all. Second of all, the video that the guys put up of them taking the Rap-A-Lot chain from this guy, cutting this guy's face up, was a direct humiliation on an OG in any hood. So you can't do that to an OG nowhere. Now, everybody in the streets know that James Prince is known for following what they call the code of respect. So following the code of respect, he have to address this matter, and he have to do it publicly because these boys put this stuff into the social media in a public forum. So James Prince addressed it publicly. So before I go any further, I'm going to say hi to the family up in here checking me out, trying to get this stuff situated where we can stop going at each other's head and we can clean up this mess that they laid down in Babylon on this divide and conquer. So I'm going to say for all of y'all that's here now, greetings. I'm glad y'all here. I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of different greetings from everybody because they already know I speak. I'm from the hood, from the block. I say, what's up? What's up? That's everybody. That's the Muslim, Assalamu alaikum, and the Rahubats. And that's all that in the what's up. So if y'all get offended because I didn't use your term of address, then I can't control that. But I can say, what's up? How y'all doing? And much love. So when we get back to this situation, now what did the media types do? They begin to put pressure on OGs in the street to come out and make statements. Nobody was ever supposed to issue a tweet, a verbal response, or an interview dealing with the tweet from James Prince. Because he had to put it out there publicly, they was just supposed to go handle their business, check their family, make sure that they was clean, and leave it alone. Now, if somebody found out it was in their family, they were supposed to address it publicly. That matter that was done in Brooklyn where the boy got robbed for the Rap-A-Lot chain came out of my clique and we ain't know nothing about it. But it's straight now. We took care of that. That's how they were supposed to handle it. Whereas that's why he said we have to get an understanding. He ain't threatened nobody. He didn't say nobody did anything other than whatever is going on up there, those I respect, and he hashtagged them all. But none of them was supposed to openly and publicly respond if they following the code of the street. They was just supposed to go check their camps. Individuals check their camps. Now, their response was, if anything, at most, a phone call to James Prince, hey, this is my son, the general, my camp clean, baby, I'll holler at you later. That's the end of the conversation. It wasn't supposed to be a whole drug out thing. And these reporters, by forcing people like Fat Joe to make a verbal response by continuously asking him about it, is putting his life in danger. It's not putting his life in danger from Jay Prince. It's putting his life in danger from OGs from his area. Because they already know the rules. And they're going by the rules. And this is how we end up in this situation, which is going to take me to the young Pharaoh situation next. Because if we follow the rules, we won't have these issues. And people always got something to say about somebody else's business without really understanding what it is that they're addressing. So the street rules become imperative to understand in social media and investigative reporting. Because you're not supposed to ask people from the street about street things so you can put it out in the public domain and get somebody hurt. So y'all got to understand this. You can seriously have a person's life snatched from them by putting the wrong stuff on social media and putting the wrong stuff in an investigative report in a documentary. Now, I did a video a couple months ago, about a month and a half ago, about Tupac. I had to take the video down because it put somebody's life in danger. And later on, once I was able to know that that person was secured, I was given permission to put it back up. So I posted it back up with an explanation. So what did young Pharaoh do to prompt me to give this address? Now, I hope somebody tagged him on the video that I was going to be coming on here because I want him to see this. I am very, very proud of young Pharaoh to begin with for his courage and for his determination to deliver what he perceived as the truth against all odds, because he don't even understand the odds he's facing when he's addressing certain issue, or he have the courage to withstand the backlash of those odds. And his delivery style remind me of me when I was his age. It's raw, it's untempered, and it's also lack the depth that his elders around him should be feeding him unless they surface dwellers. Because when you surface dwelling, you can't get to the bottom of anything. And so young Pharaoh did two speeches. The first one, he said that
Farrakhan was clout chasing at the Nipsey Hussle send-off ceremony. He don't know what he's talking about because he do not understand that this is bigger than that. Ceremony was more than just what you would call in modern America a funeral. That wasn't just a funeral. And I'm not going to go too much into that right now because I touched on it in the Tupac video. The second thing that young Pharaoh did was a documentary that came out that day or two ago called Malcolm X Revenge. Now, I'm going to tell everybody after I talk to the ministers in the nation the real deal about what happened with Malcolm. But before I can go public with that, I absolutely have to tell Fruit members first. Now, mind you, I'm not in the Nation of Islam as a standing member. I've studied their doctrine, but I'm not a member of the Nation of Islam. I have been called to the ranks of the righteous, so I have to address anything that can cause us a setback in the transition of power from what we were to what we are about to become. And so, why would I address young Pharaoh? It's because I like young Pharaoh. I genuinely like the brother and I like the methods, and I got a lot of research that I would like to share with him in order to make sure that he walked in flawless.